What's up, you guys? Sean Ross Sapp, managing editor at FightfulWrestling.com. It is November 20th, and this is the Wednesday Night War podcast reviewing AEW Dynamite and NXT. This is a big Smackdown. Of course, you're watching the post-NXT and post-AEW reviews, but we have our weekly news show, The List and Your Boy, as well. And we have big post shows this weekend, NXT TakeOver and Survivor Series. I will be here for Survivor Series, but the two men to my right will be anchoring the NXT TakeOver show. And some of you might say, well, why is that? Why is that? I'll be on a call with Triple H almost immediately following NXT TakeOver. I was on one this morning as well, so no shortage of audio content for you here at Fightful.com. But maybe you want more, and if you do, go to subscribe to FightfulSelect.com. That's the most direct way to support us. We'll tell you more about that later. But right now, I'd like to tell you about one Alex Pawlowski, who is featured heavily on that service. Alex, how you doing?
I'm doing fantastic after that episode of NXT. I was dipping back and forth with AEW, but not as much as I usually do, because this is how you run an invasion angle going to Survivor Series. Take note, runners of Raw and SmackDown.
We're also joined by Mr. Warren Hayes. Of course, he has his own YouTube channel. You can check out a lot of his content by going to his Twitter at Mr. Warren Hayes. Warren, how you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. Yeah, I was on the AEW beat tonight, and it was, on the contrary, it was difficult to not watch what was going on NXT tonight. It was hard, but I managed, guys. I'll be able to fully talk about AEW Dynamite. Don't worry about it. But I can't wait to catch the NXT replay. I'm not messing with you.
Well, we've got a super chat already. A reminder, guys, if you want your question or statement read on the air, we will read those if you donate a super chat live here at youtube.com/Fightful. We have been posting our shows this week on our Facebook page as well, so check that out. But Young Bibby says, when will the women's and men's Survivor Series teams be announced? Also, nice to see Carmella lead her team in NXT. She got a good pop from the crowd. Alex, I was happy to see the reactions for a lot of people here. There were some that they got kind of underwhelming responses, but I don't know. And we're going to make predictions tonight blind on some of these teams.
Blind, yeah. But no, this is very interesting. I mean, they're keeping a lot of things close to the vest, which honestly has me worried. Like I said this to Warren, I was like, this feels like it's like, Team NXT. I know he said he doesn't want to be a part of it, but it's just like they're hiding it from us in a way that makes me feel like it's going to be Triple H and Shawn Michaels and Seth Rollins and Kevin Owens and Kona Reeves. It's going to be like the craziest NXT Survivor Series team ever.
I actually had Chris Michaels, who was an independent wrestler, longtime independent wrestler who's appeared on TNA, WWF, WCW. Of all people, when he guest coached at the Performance Center, he put over Kona Reeves big. And I got to tell you something. Looking at him physically, I was like, damn, that dude's gotten himself in some shape lately.
Sure.
And he looked at him and he was like, yeah, he can make other people look really, really good. And I was like, well, that's a quality that's going to come in very handy with the crop of talent that they have right now. When you see 300-pounders doing dives over the top rope.
Yep.
But let's go ahead and talk about NXT. That was the big show. I can go ahead and tell you now it's probably going to get a clean sweep for our picks at the end of this. But a big show, a go-home show. And Alex, Warren, I'll just say, Warren, this was a go-home show that felt like a go-home show for NXT.
I mean, this is how all go-home shows, this is the template moving forward, guys. This is what we need to see from Raw and SmackDown for every pay-per-view moving forward. This was fantastic. It was exciting. It had surprises. I tweeted this out earlier today. I think that this is the most exciting Survivor Series season that we've had in a long time. This has been really, really good, and it culminated on NXT. I mean, I don't want to skin the bear before killing it, but I don't see how SmackDown is going to top this.
Graphic.
It's actually it's a French Canadian expression that I just translated simultaneously into English. I
just want to tell you.
No, hang on. I'd appreciate some props here for my live translation skills right now.
Okay, I want to know this.
Bears roaming the streets of Montreal there, Rowan.
And Alex, don't say anything. Warren, say you're about to fight a bear. How will you prepare for that? What stance will you go into it? Better yet, what stance will the bear take? Do you know what hand a bear favors?
Yeah, listen, right now, I think we're going into some kind of territory.
They're southpaws. They're almost all southpaws. And me and Alex know that, and you don't.
Yep, right.
DJ Cass says, did you have a feeling that if NXT wins the rating war over AEW, Vince would look at this and be like, main roster guys? Yeah, Alex, I do think he would credit the main roster guys. And here's the thing, maybe appropriately so, because of the buzz that they create.
Well, yes, I think everybody's tuning in to because of what Triple H says at the end of Raw. He says, everybody, if you want to show up, show up. Let's do this. So everyone's assuming they're going to see a lot of run-ins and crazy stuff. What we got to start the show off with was Becky Lynch in the middle of a Full Sail ring, which she's the face of the company now, one of the biggest draws. So that's going to immediately pull people over to see what's going on. Everything else after that was kind of haphazard and done in the absolute best way possible. But it wasn't like you had Roman Reigns out there parading around doing promos. Like these are guys who were there to do the run-in and that's it.
The funny thing is when they showed Becky's graphic before NXT, she got booed, and then she came out. And fickle. And yeah, Warren, I would agree with you. The most exciting Survivor Series period in a while. I would say outside of that maybe 24-hour period of uncertainty of the Becky Lynch situation last year. Other than that, I think it's been like the most exciting we've had in a long time. And that's even with a lot of this not quite making sense. But Becky wants a fight. She says, she brings up the fans singing her music and her sitting in the corner dejected, and Rhea Ripley shows up. And here's the thing. It was good. It was awesome. I kind of think it should have been saved, Alex. Like this to me, when I think of who was the perfect number 5 to those 4 anchors on the main roster, I'm like, if I got to pick anybody, even above Shayna Baszler, all due respect to her, it's Rhea Ripley, because she is nothing like the 4 that are up there.
Well, I think that they're doing this for me, it feels like this is a tease. Like what happened tonight in Full Sail is chapter 1. And I don't know how many chapters happen between now and then, but one of the chapters should be in Raymond James Stadium in Tampa, Florida at WrestleMania.
They never do first time evers anymore though, like for big pay-per-view shows. That's
true. I mean, I guess the whole thing is that because the match was booked the way it was and both were protected, like you have this needs to be a resolution to what happened tonight, and that maybe we'll see down the line. Warren and I have the same opinion. Rhea Ripley should win the Royal Rumble and challenge Becky Lynch. It's perfect. It's a perfect way of building new stars, because that's what you should be doing. You should be building new stars. And she's so charismatic and so fun to watch in the ring. She's got such a great intensity to her. She'd be a mega star between the Royal Rumble and April. Easy.
Another non-finish. We've gotten a lot of those this week. Michael Morgan says, NXT's broadcast would benefit from a bigger venue. Thank you for the super chat. I disagree. I think if maybe a little bit bigger, maybe like 100, 150, sure. I think it could benefit from being lit better. But Warren, I think the intimacy of Full Sail is charming. And let me tell you, it's even smaller in person than it looks on TV. It is real tiny in person.
Yeah, that's what I've heard. And thank you for the super chat, despite the fact that I completely disagree, because we've talked about this previously on the show. Full Sail is a character in the NXT universe and the setup. They know the people, they know the stars, they boo and they cheer for whoever they want, and what the Full Sail crowd brings to NXT is consistent, it's regular, it's something you can count on, and it does add to the excitement of the matches.
Yeah, I compare it to kind of like how the Seattle Seahawks had, what was it, the 12th man or whatever on their defense with the crowd and all that years ago. Eloquent says, missed both shows. Wanted to show support. Keep it up, guys. Good riddance, Jim Cornette. Spoke about that at length on the Listen Ya Boy, and the video is isolated on youtube.com/Fightful. Go check that out, guys. The Horsewomen attack, Becky and Rhea Ripley run them off. Sure, I'm cool with that.
Yeah, I like that. There's you can do a little bit of mutual respect between Rhea Ripley and Becky. But I also love that Shayna doesn't run in to help Rhea because Raw's invading. She runs in because she hates Becky, and also she hates Rhea because they have a match on Saturday. Like, NXT is the one brand that has remembered that on all other days of the year, I hate all these people.
Yeah.
But I hate these people more because you're on my turf. But I still hate you. And that's NXT's the only one who knows how to do that.
Hannah Moore, who is Chicago bound for this weekend shows, says front row tickets at Full Sail tonight, $10. Probably a pretty good indication that they don't need a bigger venue, right? After this, Kona Reeves, who I'd mentioned, looked physically transformed. Like, that dude looked like he had been putting time in the gym, comes out, and I was like, okay, Kona Reeves getting a match. And he ain't won one in a long time. And he gets attacked by Ricochet. Matt Riddle comes out to set up a match between the two, as Riddle was Kona's original opponent. Matt Riddle and Ricochet, not strangers. They faced each other in Evolve 3 years ago. Some good action here. And then Shinsuke Nakamura and Cesaro pop up and both get beaten up. Matt pulls off like a bit of a banana split pin on Ricochet to get the win, which I really love. I love Matt pulling out these like amateur wrestling style pins that quite frankly you don't see in pro wrestling a lot. I really dug this. And like I said, I didn't have the qualm of the not being a first time ever type of thing, even though it is a bit of a special match. I thought this was good, Alex.
Yeah, this was great. This is exactly how you're. This was a great way to do these run-ins, like, because it was special because also it felt like a lot of these run-ins were, hey, Full Sail, remember this guy? Remember this guy? These guys who were here as recently as a few months ago, but also like Cesaro had an incredible chapter of his career with a rivalry with Sami Zayn in that building. Shinsuke Nakamura, a champion for forever in that building. So it was kind of a cool thing of like Full Sail gets the chance to like all these people showing up on like the finale of a TV series you watch for 8 years and go, hey, that guy! Oh, it's that guy too! Yeah. Like, it was really cool energy from the crowd. And what I loved is the main roster guys didn't come in and just automatically beat the NXT, undercard guys. Like, they're treated as equal.
You know what's cool, Warren? Like, they can refer back to stuff like this and how they were doing ECW reunion shows forever. They can do NXT reunion shows if they want and have people wear their old gear, work with their old teams, do their old stuff. And they'll be good for that for like 10, 15 years because these are all, not all, but a lot of pretty young people. But they could run like, I don't know, glorious Bobby Roode against somebody like Ricochet who had a bit of a run there and get some more mileage out of these people.
Well, and just look at, not to go too far ahead in the recap, but look at the reaction that Drew McIntyre got. Drew McIntyre wasn't all that long in NXT, but his stay there was memorable. See, that's the thing with Full Sail and the NXT crowd. They remember, they know the history. And by God, if they were to do these NXT reunion shows, like you said, where, old feuds get rekindled, old alliances, blah, blah, blah. Man, that'd be a fantastic way to get the Rabid fans back into it. And they could do this a one night only pay-per-view and it would sell like crazy, sell out and I'm sure it would do great numbers as well. It's a fantastic idea.
Matt Riddle and Ricochet get attacked by Cesaro afterwards. Finn Balor shows up, but Matt Riddle sends him packing as well. Then we get the match that, quite frankly, I might have been most excited for the rest of the year. The Revival versus the Undisputed Era. The Undisputed Era win. And, Alex, this was everything we thought it would be. They are who we thought they were!
Yeah. And they didn't let us off the hook. Like, that was so great. It was so good. This meant so much that we actually got a chance to see this, especially in this setting, in this venue, because a few years ago, when Revival was kicking ass in NXT, elsewhere there was a team called Red Dragon that was kicking ass all over the world, and we thought, man, wouldn't it be kind of cool if we ever got to see those guys face off? Because, I mean, they might be the two best tag teams in the world, but probably not. And by the time Red Dragon showed up and became Undisputed Era, Revival was off on the main roster. And we had never really got a chance to see them face off. And so now it felt like it was bragging rights from 2016 right now. And God, it was great. I mean, what was so interesting was that the Revival showed up, and I expected a hero's welcome, like a huge response for them, and it was tepid. Like, it was like, how quick you guys, Full Sail forgets that these guys was what made tag team wrestling in NXT, was the Revival that did it. Their feuds with American Alpha and a DIY, like, they made it. And so you don't get Undisputed Era without the Revival. But by the end of the match, like, my God, that place was tearing it apart itself at the seams for all four guys, and they realized what a history-making match it was, and the ending could not have been better. So perfectly done.
Zach Connor sent a super chat and said, doubt it'll happen, but have the Revival go back to NXT to enter the Dusty Classic, have a rematch with Undisputed Era at TakeOver Tampa. I think that'd be a great idea. It would likely be the Revival's farewell based on everything that I've heard about them. And an appropriate farewell would it be? I think WWE would serve themselves a lot better to not job out people that are going to leave, build some goodwill. I mean, they didn't do it with Jon Moxley, so I mean, they did do it to a certain degree, but they gave him a nice farewell. And this match was just unbelievable. Like, the thing I like about this was Undisputed Era was cutting off the ring on Revival, which I loved. Dash Wilder, Mr. No Flips, Just Fists, is doing Hurricane Ranas. He had to bust it out. It wasn't just doing it. Revival hit the Shatter Machine, but Kyle hits a diving knee, and oh my God, that diving knee was awesome.
Yeah, I was like, oh no, Dawson's kidneys are now like just jelly.
Yes.
Like, that was bad, man. Oh, God, that hurt.
And you know Dawson's not going to take time off because he's probably like, they're not adding injury time to my deal. No. He's like, they're not doing that to me. This ruled so much ass. Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Tag team wrestling is special. Tag team wrestling is different than a singles match. It is an attraction, Alex.
Yes. When the crowd started chanting, tag team wrestling.
Yes.
That was... I guarantee you there was something inside Dash and Dawson that welled up with a sense of pride they would not have gotten with anything else. Chance to them or whatever. The fact that the crowd loved tag team wrestling because they said, we're going to make you love tag team wrestling. And they brought in all these guys to face the Revival to make sure that division continued after they left. But my thing I was telling Warren before we started was that, like, what an amazing way for the Revival to leave the territory and put over the new guys, if that's what they're doing. Because it felt very old school. But Dash not being able to get back in the ring, Dawson saying, it's okay, I got this, and telling one last time to Fish and O'Reilly, you can kiss my ass. He gets hit and he goes on his back the way they used to do it. Like, that's some old school shit. I loved it.
Again, like, all due respect to the person who gave us the super chat. It feels like I'm going after the super chats, but I'm not. With all due respect, you don't touch Revival and Undisputed Era again. This was perfect.
It was great. It was great.
This was perfect. The match was fantastic, and it ended in the most perfect way possible. There is no more story to be told here. It's final. It's great. And Undisputed Era are probably, despite the fact that the OC won it at the Crown Jubilee Boop, they are the best tag team in WWE right now.
I think the Revival are just the perfect mix of what makes a great tag team today. You get the just amazing fundamentals that they have. Like, are they going to do 450s? Probably not. Are they going to do, like, running power bombs? Maybe not. But They are good enough at everything they do, and sometimes they'll bust out a top rope splash or a suicide dive or a Hurricane Rana. They can do some of that stuff too and look good doing it. But then they hit that shatter machine, which is a next level finishing move. And every single match they have has story. I can't remember a time they've had a match that's went over 10 minutes and they didn't get the crowd into it. And does the crowd go in caring about these guys? I'm not convinced that they do, but they leave caring about these guys. And this was just perfect.
I'm trying to remember. There was like early last year, there was a match, and maybe you guys can, on Raw, where the Revival were, I can't remember who they were fighting, but the audience was dead on their feet for it because there hadn't been any build. But they just let the Revival, and I feel stupid for forgetting who was the other team, but they just elevated. They got the audience into it. They were cheering. Everyone was on their feet at the end. And you're absolutely correct. That's what makes the mark of a great tag team right there.
Rob Wilkins says, I've seen Kona wrestle 5 or 6 times. He's good. Give Revival matches like this more, and they'll resign. Shout out to Soul Train Jones. Yeah, check out the oral and audio history of Soul Train Jones.
That's a packed super chat. Holy
I know.
crap.
He gets his money's worth. I forgot his on Listen to Your Boy today. So, Rob, I read it on The List Goes On, our Fightful Select show. I agree in regards to the Revival. Everything I've heard is that they want the tag team division to matter. Not about title reigns, not about all that. Michael Morgan says, Warren, stop attacking super chats. He paid for that.
Hey, listen, buddy. I'm going to do what No, I'm sorry. It's fine.
Joseph Farley with a giant super chat says, using my Christmas bonus for work, for the swear jar, pee-pee, poo-poo, doo-doo, pee-pee, go Cats. Also, NXT with all the invasion was a total cluster, and I loved it. I had somebody reach out to me today and said this was their favorite episode of wrestling TV maybe ever. So, hey, man. Hey. See several Raw stars trying to get into the arena, but they're stopped by security, which is confusing to me because the doors were left open, Alex.
Well, yeah, I mean, the gate to the Full Sail grounds, that was left open.
Yeah.
The door to the arena wasn't open. What do you think? He's nuts?
Kaylee Ray defeated Dakota Kai. After the match, you have Bayley saying, hey, why aren't you in my match Sunday? That begs the question. What do you think of this, Alex?
Well, it's tough sledding for Dakota Kai.
Yeah.
Losing a lot of matches at Full Sail. Then she went as part of the team that invaded Raw or SmackDown, I forget which. And then there was a big 8-woman tag, and she lost that too.
Then there's the whole following Undisputed Era and the Revival thing.
Not great. But I thought she always looks good in defeat. She's a very talented wrestler, and I think Kaylee Ray was there to show NXT domestic who this person is, because she showed up last week and joined Team Baszler, and I could feel a lot of people going, hey, I know I should know who that is, but I don't. And yeah, the truth of it is not a lot of people watch NXT UK. And it's a different thing. So actually being able to put her on TV here in the States, get her familiar with some people, I think that was an important thing to do.
Viking Raiders against the Forgotten Sons. Now, I feel a lot of different ways about this match because this was a damn good match. And one of the best the Forgotten Sons have ever had, period. However, this was a 20-plus minute segment, a 13-minute match for guys in the Forgotten Sons who have had one win since May and were losing to Breezango on the rag. So I don't know how I feel about them going that long with Viking Raiders. Now, here's my thing. Sometimes, for example, in MMA, one of the best fighters in the world can get knocked out in a minute by some jobber. Then the next time they go out and they have a 15-minute fight, go all the way to the scorecard, styles make fights. I agree with that. If the goal was to make the Forgotten Sons look very good, that's a good thing. If it was to continue whatever the Viking Raiders have done on the main roster, that wasn't done well. But the match was good in the ring, but I thought it was going to end before that first commercial, Alex.
Me too. At least that's what they've been doing with the Viking Raiders recently. So it was kind of interesting to see them get pushed by a team that doesn't win in NXT when they just roll through people on Raw. The one thing I did like, this is the thing that I've always wanted when they did an NXT Invasion, not this one for around Survivor Series, but if they ran an NXT Invasion angle at any other time during the year. There are so many people who've, quote unquote, been brought up from NXT, and a lot of them recently. I don't see why the Viking Raiders have more allegiance to Raw, since they've been on there for a couple of months, really, maybe 5 months, as opposed to NXT, where they were champions in NXT this calendar year. Like, it's not like they've actually faced the Forgotten Sons in NXT. And the Forgotten Sons are a new act. They haven't been around for several years. So it's a weird deal to them, like that NXT is like, yeah, I'm on Raw now and screw NXT. Same thing with a Ricochet. Like, I feel like Ricochet was just here in April. So the other thing is that you have people on Raw who were on SmackDown like a month ago before the draft and vice versa. So the whole brand loyalty thing doesn't make a lot of sense unless like if you're Seth Rollins says, this is my show. I've been here from the beginning. Other people have been like, well, we go back and forth. I don't really care. Oh, look, what color shirt am I wearing today? That's who I'm rooting for.
I was going to say the brand supremacy thing only matters to Seth. He's the only guy it matters to.
I forgot to mention, Raw and SmackDown women come out after the Kaylee Ray match. Nikki Cross stands tall, of all people. It's good to see her get a little more shine in this spot than she ever really did in NXT.
Yeah, and the crowd loves her. They loved her in NXT. They remember fondly the Nikki Cross who was a part of Sanity. They remember Sanity. So like it's a kind of an interesting thing to have her there. I also loved Kairi Sane coming out in her Raw t-shirt. Again, she feels like more an NXT person than a Raw person.
Yeah.
But she gets to hit her big elbow in Full Sail again. The crowd goes nuts for that. There was a very mini standoff between her and Io. And I was like, ooh, I want some more of that.
I find the Kyrie thing particularly stupid because she's women's tag champion. She's been on every show since the draft.
Yep.
All of them.
Yep.
My God. Also, I want to say Nikki Cross, outside of that weird several-month period where she was not used at all, her call-up has been effective and done really, really well. One of those rare situations where that is the case. Main event ladder match. I don't know that they needed to do ladder matches in back-to-back weeks. That seems weird to me.
Yeah, you didn't need it to be this stipulation. I understand them doing it for both Wargames matches. The winner gets the advantage or whatever, but usually the advantage always goes to the heel team anyway, because that's the only way it kind of makes sense. So, both heel teams won. Their representatives won in back-to-back weeks. Okay. I did like the... Usually when you get matches like this reminded me a lot of Razor Ramon versus Shawn Michaels, because you had the size difference there. You had Dijak being able to do stuff in the ring that Ramon never could do, but just the idea that he could sling Cole around, and I love Cole using his brain, like super kicking the back of Dijak's knee and then wrapping around the post, like being smart about it, because he's obviously given up a lot of size. I thought the match was good. I don't think you need it to be this thing, but I liked Dijak getting some shine as a baby face going into this thing on Saturday, when, as we've discussed, we have no idea who his other partner is going to be.
After the match, of course, first off, I want to ask Alex, favorite spots of this match?
I liked the ending. I thought that was good. The hit him with the briefcase, knock him off to the thing. The Oshigoroshi, I believe that was off the ladder. Yeah. And then him just flinging Cole into the match, into the ladder. That was good too.
After the match, of course, we get another brawl. We got like 700 of them.
Because it's Survivor Series week, and they have 3 go-home shows for Survivor Series, which means we got one on Monday, we're getting one tonight, and we're definitely getting one on Friday, too.
I hope we get one for main event led by Sarah Logan and Dana Brooke. And we don't get to watch it for like 3 weeks because it won't be on the network.
Yeah.
So that goddamn powerbomb by Keith Lee on Drew McIntyre.
After the damnedest Claymore kick, I remember, like, he turned Dijak inside out. And the thing I not lost on the Full Sail crowd is Drew left without saying goodbye. He got hurt as the champion, lost the match to Andrade, never showed up again in Full Sail. The next time we saw him, he was with Dolph Ziggler on Raw. So he never got a chance to come back and be on Full Sail again. So when they saw him, it was like, hey, we loved you. Thanks for coming. Bye. Like, it was this really cool reunion time. But also, Keith Lee getting in the ring and staring down McIntyre and just hitting that spirit bomb him. Like, that was nuts. Oh, God, it's so good. I don't know if Keith Lee's going to be on the Survivor Series team on Sunday. Who knows? But I hope he is, so we can get a replay of that.
So one of my favorite things about pro wrestling is psychology. And back in the day, you would always hear somebody go, oh, big men should work like big men. And I'm like, well, what does that mean? Like, because if it's The Undertaker telling Diesel to not leapfrog somebody, that makes sense. Because why would Diesel avoid someone?
Right.
Let him run into you and bounce off of you. But what Keith Lee and Ivar did, just think. Mantar and Bastion Booger doing this. Think about that. Think about Man Mountain Rock doing this dive. Or one of the Blue Twins. Or even both of them.
Yeah.
Now, to be fair, Diesel did do a couple of these back in the day. Maybe not flips, but he did a couple like crazy dives back in the day. That was just unbelievable. Seth Rollins got a cool reaction. I loved this dynamic, and it further cements to me, Warren, if Seth Rollins went full, like, you all should appreciate. Like, the thing is, I think he should go heel, but I don't think he should go all you people. I just think he should be like, you all should be cheering me. Like, he should want the fans to cheer him, but not get it, because this was good. The Seth's not cool chants.
Yeah.
That was really good. It kind of breaks my heart because I feel like they're giving, like, Seth Rollins currently as a babyface is 2018 Roman Reigns. Like, clearly the smart thing to do would be to have him turn, and they're just not going to pull the trigger on it. And I've been having this kind of thought: if they were to give Seth Bayley's gimmick when she turned, where she was like, "No, I'm the good guy, but keep it." And him really leaning into it, it would be fantastic. Like, it would really, really be good. Why are you guys coming after me on Twitter kind of thing? It's like, he'd be so good. He could lean into all the garbage, and I think just showing off some self-awareness would do him a lot of good.
Alex, this ended with Seth Rollins going kind of face-to-face with Tommaso Ciampa. We go off the air. That's NXT.
Yeah.
Pretty good show.
It was a very good show. The thing I liked about Ciampa coming down the most is that on his way to getting in the ring and brawling with Seth Rollins, he took some time to kick Adam Cole's ass because he still hates Adam Cole, because that's what these things, like, honestly, I was so fearful this whole build to Survivor Series and Wargames back-to-back that it wasn't going to make any sense. Sometimes it didn't, but for the most part, NXT handled this perfectly. Like, I hate the guys I'm facing on Saturday.
Yes.
But I also hate you for Sunday. Like, not like, I hate this guy, but damn it, we're on the same side as long as we're going to go like that. They never did that. And I'm very happy that they didn't do that.
The unfortunate aspect of this is we don't necessarily know who will be on all these teams at any given time. Like, because we don't know any of the NXT names. So we don't know if Tommaso Ciampa should hate Seth Rollins for Sunday.
Right. Well, I guess, here's the thing about Tommaso Ciampa. He's the guy, he says, there's daddy's home. Like, he's christened himself as the current father of this. He's the current sitcom dad on Wednesday nights. And he says, no, nobody's coming into my house. And I think that that's his
Yeah.
that makes sense for him. But I agree with you. The thing we know is not happening, unless they're pulling double duty. Nobody who's in Undisputed Era is going to be on Team NXT. So it's going to be people outside of that, and whoever, I guess, wins this triple threat and challenges Adam Cole.
And Triple H was asked about Johnny Gargano, said he was day-to-day, said nothing structural. You could speculate that means he got a concussion, but I can't say that. But the guy has not been wrestling since New York. Like, rarely wrestles. Guys, subscribe to FightfulSelect.com. Alex does 2 completely negative reviews there a week. Raw and SmackDown. Every week I do the Backstage Report podcast. You look like you're about to say something, Alex.
I was going to say, I mean, they're completely negative when the show is completely negative, which is like 85% of the time.
No, hey, I'm running with the marketing, okay?
Yeah.
If you want NXT, NXT UK 205 Live, or not NXT, we review that here, but UK 205 Live, NWA, a lot of non-main roster reviews. Steven Jensen does that on the Weekender podcast, but I got news up there right now on a Joey Mercury situation, which I don't know, might get me in some trouble apparently. We've also got news on Randy Orton and Tony Khan's little backstage beef. Also, Randy Orton, apparently, according to people I talked to, had apologized to several people way back in LA last month. I got some news up there on that. Lots of cool stuff over there. That's the most direct way to support us. And if you subscribe right now, you still have time to get questions in for my Q&A this week. Make sure you guys give it a subscribe. But we have AEW Dynamite, not nearly as momentous a show as NXT. But Warren, what did you think of the show?
I thought it's good. I mean, it was a good show. I think there's again situations that we need to dive into, and there's some patterns that I'm starting to see emerge within AEW that I kind of hope that they're going to snap, not moving forward. But I mean, this was a good show. AEW is consistently a good show. It's much better than what SmackDown's been doing since moving to Fox. So, it's criticism that comes from the heart.
That's true. I loved kicking this show off with Fenix and Nick Jackson. Nick Jackson will compete for the AEW World Championship at some point. He's unbelievable. Phoenix is too, though.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, is that you have 2 fantastic guys. Phoenix, you can tell Phoenix is more used to having a singles presence than Nick does. Despite the fact that Nick really leaned into it at some point where he was like trying to tag out to Matt, and he's like, "Oh, yeah, that's right." That. I thought that was good. But Nick is my favorite young buck, and I don't know if they're ever going to split. But Nick definitely has a career as a singles guy. I think the more his hairline recedes, the better he becomes. He's like a reverse Samson is what he is.
This match was so good. Phoenix hit a springboard head kick, nailed Jackson with a muscle buster for the 3 count. Just outstanding. And a couple of guys that they're going to be able to turn from tag team wrestlers into singles wrestlers and do it effectively. If AEW takes one thing from WCW, and they're taking a lot from WCW, it's that, or NWA rather, it's that, hey, our tag team wrestlers can compete for the titles, even if they don't win them.
Sure.
They can compete and challenge. And I dig that. Also, what I dug was Britt Baker and Hikaru Shida. There are a lot of people who seem to want Britt Baker to be bad, but I just don't see it.
Why would you want that, first and foremost?
You know how people are. There are some people who want things to be bad, and let's be honest, she's going to face criticism no matter what because she was their first signing. She was their first women's signing, yeah.
And I think with a little bit now that they've kicked off a Dynamite, I think she leaned in. I think there was a lot of momentum her way after all in. I'm trying to get my bearings right. All in, where with the women's match that they had there, she was a standout there, and I think that momentum carried her into this position here. And I would argue that as great a look that she has, and as good a talent that she is, I don't think she's ready to be put in the position they want her to be in. And we've talked about it on this show regularly. But you see, what I liked here, and this is something that we've talked about even in other circumstances, talking about Lacey Evans. Britt will benefit by being put in matches with women like Sheeta, not women like Leva Bates, women like Sheeta, who has been wrestling for over 10 years, who has hundreds and upon hundreds of matches under her belt, and can and wrestles a different style. So if she's put in there with someone who is a little more on the Joshi side, knows her submissions, can strike like no one can.
Great near falls too. Great near falls.
So this is the kind of stuff that Britt will benefit from. And unfortunately, and this is an argument that we pull out every week, but it's also true, unfortunately, Britt does not have access to a performance center where on her off time she can just pop in and work the style that the company wants her to work in.
Not only that, she doesn't have the benefit of off time.
No.
Because it's rumored that she is a dentist.
What?
Rumored.
This is the first I've heard about this. This is really strange. Like I know there's librarians in AEW.
Allegedly, But the main criticism I have for the match, which I liked, it seemed like on suplex spots they had particular trouble hooking the head. Like they would fish for it and couldn't find it, and you could tell that one gave to the other. I like this. I think Britt Baker's coming along really well. Hikaru Shida is good. I loved Sheeta's post-match interview with Alex Marvez on Twitter. Also, somebody had pointed out she speaks English with a little bit of a British accent because it's rumored that she learned a little bit of English watching Harry Potter. And as much as I hate Harry Potter, that is the dopest shit I've ever heard in my life. That is awesome. And could you just imagine this, by the way? Because Kevin Owens learned a lot of English listening to Jim Ross. If Kevin Owens talked like Jim Ross, we can dream.
We can dream. But this, I agree, this was a great match, and the right woman went over in this circumstance here.
One of my favorite things about AEW, Warren, and Alex, I don't know if you got to see this, the Dark Order video.
My stream froze as the fat guy was getting on the subway. So when I refreshed it, it was in the next thing. I was like, I can't go back now.
So we'll ask Warren then. I think this should have run before the Dark Order ever debuted.
Well, look, I am going to give them being AEW all the praise in the world to not give up on the Dark Order and immediately move into a repackaging of sorts. This is brilliant, and I think it's going to work this MLM Keith Raniere kind of twist here that they're going to give to it. I think it's going to work perfectly because the Dark Order, when they were on the indies wrestling as Super Smash Bros, always managed to include levity and a bit of comedy in everything they did. They weren't a comedy act. They're not. It's not a. They're not Orange Cassidy's, but they always managed to add in some levity to the matches that they were doing. As the Dark Order and everything that we've seen so far, I always felt they were just too serious. This was not. We didn't see the real reasons that we could get behind Stu Grayson and Evil Uno. They're much more entertaining than that, and I feel this is something that they can lean into. I thought, as corny as the beginning of the video was, and I was sort of sitting there cringing for a bit, once that the Subway commercial hit, I was enthralled. I thought it was great. Production was perfect. I'm excited to see where they're going with this.
Had we seen a bunch of these, then they did the lights out, lights on gimmick?
Sure.
Ran one of these, and then they appear and took somebody, then I think the Dark Order would have had a much different reception from the jump. Now, I get it. They wanted to get these guys in and have them work, but, man, you got a built-in story with them. Instead, it kind of went in reverse because they debuted. A lot of people didn't know the hell they were. They tried to recruit Marco Stunt, and then they show the video of them, like the video recruitment video. Had that been done almost, I don't know, in a different order, I think it would have been a lot better. But I love this. Hey, at least they didn't give up.
Yep.
I almost gave up on this Battle Royal early on, but then there was stuff I liked about it. I'll tell you what I didn't like. AEW cannot do good Battle Royals, apparently.
No, they can't.
They certainly can't film good Battle Royals because their production was a mess. Yep. Billy Gunn, dare I say it was a mistake to put him in there because he towered over everybody. And did Billy Gunn need this much shine, Warren? This whole fucking match was about Billy Gunn.
We keep talking about the theme of 2019 is how wild wrestling is this year. Billy Gunn getting the Brock Lesnar treatment.
And the Fame-Master that MJF took was awesome. I loved it. But
that's not the point. That's not the point.
He didn't need that much shine. Like, I loved the Sunny Kiss spot. I loved William RBR on Twitter saying that he needs a team with Sunny Kiss, and they can be the ass kissers or the kiss asses. I thought that was brilliant. That was I would love Sunny Kiss just teaming with random members of the Attitude Era like Billy Gunn and Goldust until they found one that worked. I think that'd be hilarious. I love seeing Sunny Kiss on TV. MJF was one of the best things about this match, and Jungle Boy.
Mm-hmm.
But all the dives out in the Battle Royal, stupid. I don't like it. Jimmy Havoc getting eliminated by being too violent in a no DQ match. Maybe he should have brought a fork and a phone and Tony Khan would have looked the other way again. Like, what do we got going on here? Or did somebody come down and whisper in his ear, you got to get out of here or we're sending Excalibur down. And then he's like, or Andrew Thompson. I don't know if you all have heard that story. But Jimmy Havoc, known for confrontation, to say the least. And then he gets kicked out of the Battle Royal for being him. That's so stupid.
Yeah, no, it is. And right now, I think one of the individuals who is having one of the most difficult times getting over to the AEW crowd is Jimmy Havoc, because Jimmy Havoc, his whole thing, the reason why he has a cult following, why he's popular, is because he's a deathmatch guy, because he bleeds. He hasn't had a scratch since he's been on there. Oh, he's supposed to be this vile individual?
Okay, Gunn eliminated Havoc. I need to clarify that. Gunn did eliminate Havoc, which also I think is fucking dumb.
Yeah, I mean the whole thing was wasn't very good. And but I officially, as of tonight, I do have a problem with AEW's Battle Royals. They need to tighten up their production. They need to help the TV crowd understand what's going on, when the eliminations are occurring, and just be on the ball with it. They need to produce them better, because right now they're just a mess. They feel like an early 90s Battle Royal, and not in a good way.
So we get you know what the MJF spot's going to be. You see it from a mile away. He falls outside the ring. Jungle Boy eliminates Kip Sabian, and then MJF shows up and eliminates him. I'm cool with MJF and Paige. Alex, what do you think of that booking for next week?
I mean, those seem to be your two of your top guys you're going to try and create as stars on this show. These are fairly new guys to a major segment of your audience, and you want to keep building them and building them and building them. These are the two that I would do. I will say, as you said, Warren, it's going to be really hard for Jimmy Havoc to have that niche in a company where Jon Moxley is one of their top stars, tip-top stars. Like, he's never going to be the hardcore guy in this company when you have Jon Moxley, who's being basically like, I will murder anyone who gets in the ring with me. Like, that's not going to happen.
And then when you're in a company where you have another guy who is a I don't want to categorize too generally, but goth, dark emo kid,
right. Sure.
and who is already more popular and more over. What is Jimmy Havoc's niche in AEW? I'm a little worried for the guy.
Yeah.
We see Chris Jericho walking around backstage during the picture-in-picture commercial, which I hope to God is released on YouTube. He's like talking to the librarians and reading like pop-up books and stuff. Like, I want to see and hear what happened here, because this looked like a goddamn riot. Mm-hmm. Whichever one of you want to talk about this, you're more than welcome.
He was walking around and he points to he's with Hager, and he points to a construction hat, a yellow construction hat, and Hager brings it over and he's like, "What, do you want to wear it?" And Jericho goes, "No, I don't." He just brushes it off. It's like, well, why did you have me pick it up? No, it's fantastic. I mean, Chris Jericho, but I mean, this is going to apply to the promo in and about itself. Chris Jericho is able to maintain this balance of goofy and cool / credibility, depending how you want to see it. He's able to juggle this with such ease. He knows when it's time to ham it up and when it's time to be champ, number one contender, serious guy. This was right now. His promos in AEW are golden. Yeah. Week after week, he is untouchable. I think there's only Cody's promo right now that stands apart.
Somebody tweeted this out, and I forget who it was, but the best way to describe what Jericho's doing now, it is the final evolution of WCW Jericho.
Yeah.
Like since after he went to Raw to WWE, like he shifted a little bit. Like at the very beginning, he was more like WCW, but eventually, like he had all those personas, all those different kind of things. If WCW Jericho had been like trapped in a little, like in a petri dish and allowed to like grow to its full form, it would have come out 25 years later as this dude. And it's like he's leaning into it. It's just so great.
Like, I don't think you can put him on the Mount Rushmore or whatever the hell it is. But the thing is, 5 years ago or 6 years ago, whenever Jericho started to call himself like the greatest ever, it was one of those things where you kind of roll your eyes. And then he's made as much, if not a better case over the last 5 years since he started to call himself that, because I'm sure he heard that doubt and saw that eye rolling. And he has went on to AEW, to New Japan, WWE, and just had some of the best work in his career at a time when people thought that he should have been gone.
I've said this, like, right now, I think you're right. There's no chance he's on the Mount Rushmore or whatever. But if AEW succeeds, and in 5 years, 10 years, it's still around and going strong, Chris Jericho will have been a major part of getting it to that point. Mm-hmm. And that might put him over the top to maybe he's not on Mount Rushmore, but if Mount Rushmore had 5, 6, or 7 heads on it, he'd be a part of that Mount Rushmore. By the way, they were going to add more heads to Mount Rushmore when they were chiseling it, and then the guy died, so he stopped. So there was supposed to be more than 4.
And he's been near the top of the card for a large portion of like 16, 17 years now. I mean, his first title win was that one in 2000 against Triple H that got reversed. So he's been competing at that level for a very long time. 20 years ago was him debuting against The Rock. So
yeah,
he apologizes via Jake Hager, and then SCU comes out and they basically bait Chris Jericho into facing him and for the title. Also, I got to see Christopher Daniels and Chris Jericho. They have never had a match together. They've never been in a battle royal together. They've never been in an 8-man together. And both of these guys have been wrestling since the 90s. But they've missed each other everywhere. Everywhere. So I want to see that. But Scorpio Sky, is it a little early, I think, for the push? Yeah, he ain't going to win that title. But damn, Warren, it's good to see Scorpio Sky getting this opportunity.
I think it's fantastic. Makes perfect sense, of course, coming off of next week, but it just echoes what we've been feeling, that Sky is a star in the making. You put him up there on this type of stage against Jericho, that will credibilize him. It will make him stronger. Moving forward, you know, we were talking at the start of the evening, talking about Ray Fenix and Nick Jackson having potentially great singles careers. Well, Scorpio Sky is definitely one of them. And I will say that probably the biggest heel move of the night came right then and there in that promo when Jericho spoiled the ending of the first episode of The Mandalorian. So, yeah.
There's a big brawl that breaks out. Jericho, he promises to make Jericho his bitch. Scorpio Sky does. Big brawl breaks out. The rest of the Inner Circle attack. You get Marco and you get, I think, Jungle Boy out there. I love... Or that was a little bit later, I think. But Luchasaurus came out and got the face off with Jake Hager. And that was the important part. Marco's stunt getting clotheslined and immediately taken out was hilarious. Mm-hmm. Hilarious. But Luchasaurus face-to-face with Hager. I like that these are their big dudes. And they're like 6'3", 6'4". Even though there are guys out there that are way bigger that can do crazy stuff. I kind of dig this. And I also dug Luchasaurus just destroying Peter Avalon after this.
Peter Avalon had the best, corniest line of the evening when he said, "I'm about to turn you into motor oil, you fossil."
That was great.
Yeah, that's good. My favorite thing about all of this was Scorpio Sky doing the old duck season, wabbit season with Jericho.
Yeah.
It's like, I honestly, I don't think I'm worthy of a title shot. Well, guess what? You got a title shot. That's like, so I think about Jericho is that he is so stupid. Like, the character is just an idiot. And I think that works so well for him. It was a really, really great back and forth.
Just enough comedy.
Now, we'll see another brawl where everybody runs out afterwards. If I were AEW, I would not have leaned on this tonight with all of them.
Not on this night.
I wouldn't have. I definitely wouldn't have any time over the last couple of weeks, and maybe the few weeks that followed. I would have done something completely different because WWE's been doing that to death lately. Joseph Farley says, extra 5 for the Keith Raniere reference. I got huge pyramid scheme vibes. Ultimate heel persona. I agree. I love that. It was very good. Proud and Powerful lose to Private Party after the match. Sammy Guevara attacks Nick Jackson, but Dustin Rhodes returns to attack Inner Circle members. But Warren, your thoughts on this? Private Party picking up a giant win, and we're starting to see almost everybody kind of 50-50ing. How do you feel about that?
Well, that's what I was about to say. I'm thinking, I think it's a little strange. Okay. My two thoughts on this is, on one hand, I feel we're going to the 50-50 route. Everybody's winning matches. I feel like Santana and Ortiz should have picked up the win here. Because they are being established as a very, very strong tag team. Jim Ross keeps saying over and over again, well, they're the number 2 tag team in the division, number 2 tag team in the division. But then that's also part of Private Party's story, right? They upset the Young Bucks. They come in, they upset the number 2 team. So it also makes sense. I don't know how to really feel about it, but I can't say that the match was all right, but nothing more than that, aside from there was this really weird moment. There was this really weird moment where there's a code red and they're pinning they're pinning Ortiz, but then the referee counts and he stops and we don't see quite exactly what happened. Apparently Santana was on the outside and pulled on the leg, but it wasn't very clear because the camera work wasn't there, or did it even happen? The audience was very confused as well. Production wasn't there, Sean. This was another moment here. There was another moment in the Darby Allin match where he was crunching John Moxley's fingers in the turnbuckle link.
Yeah.
And the camera work was all over the place. We weren't seeing what was going on. I really felt tonight production overall for AEW, if there was one main gripe I have of the show, it was their production efforts. I thought it was a step back as I felt that everything was going forward and improving. I really felt it was scattered and all over the place.
I did too. I'm glad you brought that up. That seems to be, I don't want to say a downfall, but like I said, I haven't seen a battle royal they've done yet where the production has even been passable, let alone good.
Well, we'll remember, I think it was at Double or Nothing when Joey Janela had a cigarette stapled to his forehead, and there was no camera work that picked it up. It was like Excalibur who was calling it.
Yeah.
But we didn't see it. We never saw it happening. And like, you know, as stupid as the dives were during the Battle Royal, there were still a bunch of dives and we weren't seeing a thing.
We see Kenny Omega training for his return with very light weights, and he's training with Nakazawa, which I think is very funny. He says that Omega said that things started to go wrong when he lost to Pac at All Out, and he's going to get a chance at revenge and to restart everything next week. I thought this is pretty good, and I mean, it was a little goofy, a little quirky, but that's Kenny Omega. That's always been Kenny Omega. The over-the-top facial expressions, the wrestling little kids, wrestling blow-up dolls, DDT, for the love of God. Like, that's Kenny Omega, Warren.
Yeah, no, there's absolutely nothing wrong with it. You know, when he sits down and, you know, he has this way of speaking that is quirky in and about itself. You know, he says it himself. I'm not a big promo guy, but here I am talking to you. And, you know, it's counter to what we're used to seeing as a wrestling promo, and I like it. It's part of his brand. He's quirky. He's a nerd. It works. It's fine with him.
Main event time. Jon Moxley defeated Darby Allin. I gotta say, I had my eyes on NXT through most of this, but this goddamn finish was one of the best finishes I've seen in a while. Moxley bit Allin and then hit a paradigm shift off the second rope for the win. Alex, I see I see you grimacing. That was filthy.
Listen, here's the thing about Darby Allin. Okay, he was right about one thing for sure. When I saw that little video package of him like skateboarding down the street, dragging a Moxley body bag with slow piano music in the background, and then he gets on stage and the rock singer zips him up in this body bag and he crowd surfs in black and white, and then pallbearers bring him out to the stage in the body bag. He gets out of it, he skateboards down the ring. He's right about this. Vince definitely would have had him jacking off in a boiler room because he wouldn't have had any idea what to do with this guy.
I love Kyler's comment. Is Kyler said, yeah, they would have named him Jackie Seaman too.
But here's the thing about this kid who's like, but I don't care if I die. That's why I have my half. Like, but like that if Moxley said, hey, why don't I paradigm shift you off the top of a ladder onto some concrete? He'd be like, yes, do it, please. I want it. So
that's funny you mentioned that.
And that's what scares me about this kid. It's like, I don't know if he's gonna be like, yeah, it'll be awesome. Do it. Kill me.
That's the thing. I interviewed Ethan Page a while back, and Ethan Page does really simple moves, but he'll do them from the top rope, like a body slam from the top rope. And you don't think of that as being like a wild bump, but who takes a body slam off the top rope? It's not a natural thing. You've got to spin your body. And I was like, well, did you have any trouble doing that for the first time to anybody? And he told me, well, I think the first time I did it was to Darby Allin. So no, not really. It was like, okay, well, that makes sense. Warren, what'd you think of this? Moxley obviously going to win here. But I think that Darby losing kind of helps. And by the way, putting up an awesome fight doing so helps further what they're doing with Darby Allin as well.
I'm conflicted. Sure. I like the match. I like the match. I especially favorite low key spot when Darby Allin does a flying cross body off the turnbuckle onto Moxley, and Moxley just stays completely immobile, and Allin just bounces off his chest. I thought that was fantastic. Moxley didn't move an inch. I thought it was a great visual, and of course the ending is crazy. I don't know, man. I'm a little conflicted because I understand, and I'm behind the story of Jon Moxley, being at the top of the food chain. That's his thing right now. That's what he wants to see. That's what he wants to do. I'm at the top. I'm taking on anyone. Come and get me. I really did think that they were going to use this opportunity to really put Darby Allin over and help hoist him into this circle of top guys that they have here. I don't think I don't think Moxley losing would have been that big a deal. And it would have helped. I think it would have helped Darby Allin tenfold because I liked the match, but it didn't feel like one of these matches where a wrestler really comes across as strong or stronger in defeat. I don't think so. I think he looked good. I think it was a good match. I don't think it'll hurt him, Darby Allin, but I think it would have helped him to get the win. And then you would have probably set up Jon Moxley being really, really pissed off, being like, hey, yeah, I have a win that didn't count, and I lost to this kid. I'm coming back after you. And then we escalate. Then we start escalating the violence and get us to that point where we get Moxley versus Allin 2 or 3, and where they're just going completely crazy on each other. I felt it would have been maybe more profitable for Darby.
There's a historical precedent too. Like, you could easily have done it like they did with Razor Ramon and the 1, 2, 3 Kid.
Yeah.
Where Ramon was like, what the hell just happened? And then he got super pissed. And by the end of their arc, they were friends until 1, 2, 3 Kid turned on him. Like, you could have done something like that where like all of a sudden, you know, Moxley underestimated him or whatever, and then you could move on from there. If you wanted to do it, it's worked before.
I could see Moxley embracing Darby Allin too, in that regard.
Teaching him how to do it. Yeah.
One word, Warren, who won tonight, NXT or AEW?
NXT.
I agree. Alex?
NXT.
Now, I'll ask you all this. Who wins in the viewership tomorrow, AEW or NXT, Warren?
Oh my God, I don't care. AEW probably.
Alex? I think this will be the first week NXT wins.
I think AEW wins again, but it's close, within 100,000.
Yeah. Well, it's time for us to make NXT TakeOver Wargames predictions. Right out of the gate, we have Pete Dunne, Damian Priest, Killian Dane. The winner faces Adam Cole on Sunday at Survivor Series. Alex, who you got here?
I think it's got to be Priest. I think that Dunne and Dane, Dunne and Dane cancel each other out, and Priest gets the victory because they're very much themselves.
Also, I think Priest translates to a main roster crowd better than anybody in those options. And Adam Cole can play off of that while still being a heel very effectively. Warren, your thoughts?
Pete Dunne.
Fair. I mean, he's got a little bit of familiarity on that main roster too, because he was UK champion for 7 goddamn years.
And I think, he's well liked. Triple H likes him. Mm-hmm. He's really well liked. Put him on the main card. Give him a main pay-per-view payday. Sure, let's do it.
Matt Riddle versus Finn Balor. I think Finn Balor's winning this. It's his debut match. Is it his first match in NXT?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think he'll probably cheat to win.
Yes.
Warren, your thoughts?
I think I believe that regardless of who wins, the fans are the ultimate winners. This is going to be great. Can't wait for it. But I do agree, Finn Balor. Finn has to win this one.
Yeah, Finn's got to win so that he can have a win under his belt when Johnny Gargano comes back and they start the feud they wanted to have.
Yeah, Riddle was very much a replacement. Men's War Games, Undisputed Era against Team Ciampa. Because of the question mark, it leads me to believe that Team Ciampa will win. But if I'm WWE, God, I would never, ever have or have had the collective unit of Undisputed Era lose ever. The 4 of them together, I would not have them lose ever until there was an equally formidable faction that they came up against. Alex, how do you think this one goes?
I agree with you because of the nature that they're keeping the 4th member a secret, and Triple H keeps saying it's going to be big. It's going to blow everybody's mind.
He called it epic.
Yeah. So I feel like he's not the type to overpromise and underdeliver. I mean, I just feel like he knows what people. If he trots out somebody who's a dud, everyone's gonna be like, "Oh, you waited for that." So I feel like it's got to be something big, and if it's something big, then it translates to a victory for that team.
Well, I almost ran with the headline today. Triple H says epic member to be revealed on Saturday. And I mean, come on, that's my kind of headline, right?
It is,
I was gonna say, who edited you, Sean?
No, but I mean, I was assigning the article. To be fair, I'm largely off the news beat. Who do you have in this match, Warren?
If there wasn't the mystery member, I would definitely go with Undisputed Era. We talked about this last year at the last War Games. War Games should have been Undisputed Era's thing. They won the first one, lost the second. I think they should win because they are the faction. They are dominant. They have all the titles, for Pete's sake. So
I like these types of matches being somebody's. Like, for a while, Survivor Series was Orton's. Like, he was always winning. I always liked that. Women's War Game, Team Baszler against Team Ripley. God. Ripley, I think, has by far the most upside on that team. And Tegan Nox possibly as well. And then I look at Team Baszler, and outside of maybe one person, there's a lot of, like, unlimited potential over there. Alex, I'm going Team Ripley, but I don't know. I think I'm going Team Baszler because they're more ruthless, and this type of match necessitates it. Like, I could see them doing something to Tegan Nox's knee where they're about to just end this, and them ending up winning. How do you see it?
Yeah, there's a lot. I'm of two minds about it because I also think Duke and Shafir aren't going to be in the match, but they're going to be ringside, like passing pliers through the chain link or whatever they're going to do out there. Also, yes, you're right. Rhea Ripley does have the biggest upside, but their marquee women's match on Sunday, Baszler is involved in. She's 1/3 of that match. So either if Baszler's team loses, I think it'll be because of interference by either Becky or Bayley or both. And I think if Baszler's team wins, it's because they want Baszler to look really strong and legitimate going into that match versus Becky and Bayley.
Sure. Warren.
I think the babyface team has a bigger reason to win. They need to establish a whole bunch of strong women to oppose Shayna Baszler. And I think you can even tell a story afterward that Shayna Baszler blames her team for losing.
Sure.
And then goes after everyone. She's on a tear. I see much more upside with the babyfaces winning.
Sunday's WWE Survivor Series. We are going to quickly make our way through the Survivor Series picks. Men's Survivor Series match, Team Raw, Rollins, Ricochet, Owens, Drew McIntyre, and Randy Orton. Team SmackDown, Roman Reigns, Braun Strowman, Ali, Shorty G, King Corbin, against Team NXT, who we do not know of now. I think King Corbin and Reigns will kind of undo one another and lead to a match that nobody wants to see. I think Team Raw ends up winning this. Alex, what do you think?
Yeah, it's Raw. They're not going to understand what they're doing. They'll lean into Seth being the conquering hero because they have no clue of the vibe that's going on. So they're going to make Seth into like this conquering hero babyface. He'll probably be the sole survivor, and his teammates will go out really quick. It'll be him versus all the guys on both teams, and he'll come out in the end because he's Seth Rollins. Damn it,
Warren.
I concur for the exact same reasons.
Women's Survivor Series match, NXT team that we do not know about. Dana Brooke, Carmella, Lacey Evans, Nikki Cross, and Sasha Banks on Team SmackDown. And then the Charlotte Flair, Natalya, Asuka, Kairi Sane, and Sarah Logan team of Raw. I could see the Team NXT team winning this after War Games, playing the underdog in that situation. Them maybe even having to rely on picking Dakota Kai up for their team and her getting a little bit of validation in that regard, or them not picking her and her having a reason to be even more pissy that they didn't pick her over some of these beat up women. But I think NXT wins this. Warren, what do you think?
I think NXT might be like it will entirely depend who's on the team, because I think if they add women from the War Games, you have a reason for them to lose because they're going to come out with taped up and with slings or whatnot. I think that the SmackDown women should win this because I think the SmackDown division right now needs a lot of shine, and I don't quite understand why the tag team champions have been relegated to Raw.
Yeah, I mean, the SmackDown team, theoretically should win it, but they've got Dana Brooke on their team, so I'm not thinking that's going to happen. I think it's NXT, and depending on health after War Games, the team would be anchored by Rhea, Io, and Bianca. And I don't care who the other two you put on that team; those three girls aren't losing this kind of a match.
Yeah.
Just not.
Adam
could
Cole
really make those guys big stars.
Adam Cole is not losing the NXT championship. I think
Nope.
we can all agree on that.
Nope.
Viking Raiders, New Day, Undisputed Era. I see Undisputed Era pulling off this one, and Viking Raiders not factoring into this decision. Alex, your thoughts?
Same.
Warren.
I think. Yeah, UE wins.
As we go forward here with all these main triple threat title matches, I don't see anyone in NXT losing. So Undisputed Era, hang on.
I think that maybe NXT could lose this AJ Styles Nakamura Strong match. I don't think Roderick Strong gets pinned. I don't really think that anybody from NXT gets pinned. Maybe I just don't see that. I think they'll be largely protected.
It would be incredibly smart of them to have NXT have a really big shine in all of these matches, because you want people to come over and watch them and take them seriously.
Yes.
However, it's Vince booking this
Exactly.
shit, and he doesn't believe NXT is worthy of his other two brands, so I wouldn't put it past him to make them all look like idiots.
Well, I think Nakamura wins this. Warren?
I think Strong does.
AJ.
Hey.
There you go.
The Fiend, Bray Wyatt against Daniel Bryan. The Fiend ain't losing this.
No way in hell.
Brock Lesnar taking on Rey Mysterio. You know what? I think Brock's going to win, but I don't put it past them to do a swerve and then another quick title switch shortly after that, because as they've shown us with Brock, that they'll take the title off of him. He'll just win it back pretty quickly.
I think they've been talking about Rey Mysterio possibly maybe retiring. Why not give him one last title before I'm completely distracted by the cat right now?
Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about. Becky Lynch versus Bayley versus Shayna Baszler. I think Bayley wins this because she's been treated like an afterthought in some regard. And I think that's kind of how they should have left it. And then she should have snuck it out and just been like, you know what? I told you all.
Yeah.
Alex?
Yeah, I think Bayley wins this. I also think the only reason that you do the no holds barred, no DQ stipulation for Brock is if Kane gets involved and comes in and gets his revenge on Brock in that match. Not Kane the mayor.
I thought you
Kane
meant. That's what I thought you meant.
I thought you meant the mayor as well.
So Warren, not main event, but the women's match, which might be the main event. Who knows?
It makes complete sense for Bayley to win because, and I really think she is the one who would benefit the most. But if they are going to go down the path of promoting NXT so that more eyeballs will get onto it, you have to have Shayna win. You just have to. Guys,
make sure you leave a thumbs up. Comment in the comment section below. That stuff helps us. Tell us your favorite match moment from this Wednesday night war. And join us this weekend. NXT TakeOver. You'll have Warren and Alex. I'll be on the NXT media call after the show. Also, Sunday rather, Survivor Series. But hey, Friday, me and Warren are here talking SmackDown as well. I know a lot of you just don't give a shit about SmackDown. Or you think you have better stuff to do on a Friday. You don't. You don't, in fact. Cancel your dinner plans. If you got a funeral, don't show up. I don't know why it'd be at that late anyway. That's disrespectful. Disrespectful to the dead, honestly. Till next time, we're out.